My first word was pumpkin. Okay, yeah, of course I said mama and dada, but like after that, my first word was pumpkin. And also the word flag, or so I've been told, but you know, that's irrelevant to the point of the video. The point is that I like pumpkins. I mean, the first videos I ever posted were about growing pumpkins, and that was like 10 years ago. And I've been growing pumpkins for Halloween every year since. The biggest turnout was in 2022 when I got 26, count them, 26 pumpkins. I actually compressed it all into a YouTube short if you want to check it out. You just gotta hit this funny little button, but how am I supposed to outdo that? Do you see that? Maybe if I just do everything the same exact way and No. If I'm gonna outdo 2022, it needs to be bigger. It needs to be better. I could grow dozens upon dozens. Alright, but if we're gonna do this, we need a plan. Because pumpkins are big vining plants and they love to take up space, and we're gonna ignore the fact that this is probably permanent marker. It's fine. Now my backyard is roughly 70 feet by 50 feet. That's the space we're working with, and it's a decent amount of space. Now last year I grew all of my pumpkins in a dirt strip on one end of the yard that was about 2 feet wide, which you would have known about if you would watch my YouTube short. I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed, but we're gonna reuse that space. And we also wanna take advantage of all of this space up here. The big problem is that is literally all grass, and I can't grow pumpkins in grass. But I can't get rid of the grass because it will be really ugly and take forever to grow back, and I don't need any more weird looks from my neighbors, okay? I already walk around with a pumpkin on my head, so we need a plan B. I can't grow them in the ground unless I remove the grass, and that's out of the question. I can't put them in a flower pot, that's too small. Unless I had something bigger. Trash cans! Look, hold on, it's not the container that's the problem, it's the size of it, right? So what if I just grew pumpkins in a bigger container, like a trash can? That should work, right? This thing can hold so much dirt.
Bro, who are you? Hey!
So we'll definitely be using trash cans, but let's come up with some other ideas too while we're at it. Like this. This is a 5-gallon bucket, and I've literally got like 50 of them. And yes, normally these buckets wouldn't be all that helpful because pumpkins would just quickly outgrow something that small. But they're the perfect size for miniature pumpkin varieties. But more on that in a little bit. For now, our third and final method, car tires. I've seen people use tires in their gardens before, and it works pretty well. They use them like raised beds. That way when the plant gets too big, the roots just grow through and into the ground without any problem. But we still need to figure out what we're gonna do with all this stuff, right? Where it's gonna go? Let's go on ahead and figure that out. So, we're growing pumpkins in the ground over here. We've also got the buckets along the back, as well as on the sides, with tires being smack dab in the middle. And then we've got the trash cans on the other side over here. We've also got some extra buckets all the way over here just for fun, and 2 extra ground spots for good measure. And in every spot, I will be planting 5 seeds, just because something might go wrong and I want some backups. So in the end, we'll pick the best one and get rid of the rest, which made me realize something here. Let's do some quick math. If I have a total of 53 spots and I'm planting 5 seeds per spot, I will be planting a whopping 265 seeds. And you might be thinking, that's a lot, but my friends, it is simply not enough. Of course it's a lot, because with that many seeds, how could I fail? What could possibly go wrong? I don't know. I have a really bad feeling about this. Okay, yeah, I realized on day 1 that this was gonna be way uglier than just digging up the grass, but it's too late now. I'm committed to the bit. We've got the mismatched trash cans. We've got the bright white buckets. We've got the junkyard tires. We've got the buckets. Yeah, we already mentioned that. We've got the ground. We've got whatever that is. We've got more buckets. How many of these do I have again? And I've literally got like 50 of them. Oh, right. And with everything finally set up, it was time to plant those seeds. All 250, I already forget. And this blue pumpkin seed's gonna grow a blue pumpkin. I'm kidding, it's a protective coating. Anyway, for the best results during germination, I'm gonna plant this seed with the point facing downward. Wait, germination? Like that place in Europe? No. Germination as in when a seed becomes a seedling. But why with the point facing down? Well, because it's radical. Except it's without the apostrophe and radical like R-A-D-I-C-L-E, which is the first primary root to emerge from the seed, and it comes out of this end. In fact, I can show you what the radical looks like if we trick these seeds into germinating. All they need to germinate are warmth and moisture, so if we put them in this bin, keep this paper towel moist, and come back in about 7 days' time, ta-da, we've got some radicals popping out. These freaky looking worm things are the radicals, and they always seem to know which way is down because of gravity, but why not help them out a little bit? You know, put the point facing down. So we plant these seeds about an inch into the ground, about up to your knuckle, with the point facing down. Cover them up with dirt, but never pack down the dirt. You don't want to trap them down there. And then we're going to give them a nice watering. You don't want to make the dirt muddy, just enough to give them a drink. And give your trash can a drink too, he's working hard. So I planted the rest and watered them all, and that was the end of day 1. And on day 2, I watered them again. And yes, before anyone asks, all the buckets have drainage holes. Don't worry about it. On day 3, I watered again, but nothing was happening, and I was getting impatient. So on day 4, I flooded the yard. If those plants want water, they're gonna get water. I'm just kidding, you guys. I went on vacation. What better way to wait out the germination period than to go on vacay for a few days? I got my pants wet when I filmed this shot, and everyone thought I peed myself. That was nice. But on day 5, I did go and rent a bike to ride on the boardwalk. That was pretty fun. And when I returned home on day 8, I found some seedlings. You know, that'd make a really comfy chair if I could shrink that small. You know what? Hold on a second. Oh yeah, that's nice. But yeah, guys, look at all these seedlings that are starting to pop up. And you'll notice they all look the same. They all have these 2 embryonic leaves that are known as cotyledons. Their primary job is to just absorb sunlight so the plant has energy to eventually grow its first true leaf. Which is why I was really disappointed on day 10 to find most seedlings were bitten, ripped, missing, uprooted, torn off, whatever that is, and otherwise mutilated. And I don't know. Oh man, but if the cotyledons are compromised, then the whole plant's gonna be toast. What are we gonna do? Relax, Finswerion, alright? Keep your shirt on, buddy. I got a plan. You see how these are triangularly shaped, kind of beak-shaped? Well, I've been seeing a lot of birds hanging around lately. And while it is a little unusual for birds to be snacking on pumpkin sprouts, it's not completely out of their wheelhouse. But regardless of what it is, it's obviously some kind of animal. So on day 12, I fashioned these chicken wire cages to protect some of the plants. I don't have enough for every single spot, so I just prioritized places that have the fewest seedlings. And on day 19, we finally start to see some of the first true leaves. Unlike the oval-shaped cotyledon leaves, the first true leaf is heart-shaped, and that's the shape the leaves are going to be from now on. And the cool thing about the first true leaf is that whatever direction it's pointing, the pumpkin vine's going to run in the exact opposite direction. I think there's bees in this bird feeder. No wonder the birds are eating my plants. Also, this bucket only had 1 seedling, but I was out of chicken wire, so I used this crate. But yeah, these things are really coming along. They're growing fast. I mean, look at them.
He's a cute little guy. Hey, how are you?
Alright, my neighbors definitely think I'm weird, and to make matters worse, this back row is struggling, to say the least. The tires are doing good, though. I think this will be a good year after all. Get it? I think I jinxed it. I found bug eggs on day 24, a telltale sign that the big 3 are on their way, the worst pumpkin patch pests there are. And judging from the eggs, I have a feeling we'll be seeing these guys pretty soon. Then again, I wouldn't have a bug problem if I didn't have these plants, so on day 28, I just started taking out the plants. I'm sorry, guys, okay? I can't do bugs. This was a nice idea and all, I'm just kidding, guys. The whole reason I planted so many seeds was to have backups, but ultimately, there can only be 1 pumpkin plant in each spot because they're such big feeders. So now I'm going around to each spot, picking the one I want to keep, and I'm going to be getting rid of all the rest of them. Hello? Anybody in there? I'm just kidding. There's nobody in there. It's a trash can. These ones in this bucket are green. They're just a little small. On the bright side, these guys are coming out of their cage, and they're doing just great. They're doing swell. Oh, look, he has a friend now. And on day 30, it rained all day, which is great. Plants love rainwater. It has stuff like nitrates in it, which makes the plants big and green and leafy. Oh my goodness! Yeah, big, green, and leafy is right. It's only been 2 days. Look at the size of this thing. Look, guys, this plant leaf is huge. Look at I do not have tiny hands. But there were still 2 plants in this one spot, so I had to get rid of one. And on day 36, this one was split, so it might as well be this one, right? This is painful. Okay. Let's see just how big it was. Yeah. That was a big leaf. But I felt a little bad, so I grabbed an extra bucket, put some dirt in there, and stuck the plant inside because maybe, just maybe, if we believe hard enough, we get... Oh, no, okay, never mind. This leaf is healthy, but its stalk is buckling. Good morning, everybody. It is day 38, and I want to be the urban rescue ranch of pumpkins, which is going to be kind of hard because Uncle Ben saves the lives of animals, and I grow seasonal squash inside of trash cans. But I don't know, maybe we can bridge the gap somewhere along the way, but what is that? Do you hear that? Oh, it's a bug alert. All right, everybody stay calm. This is our first bug alert. Here we go. This is a squash bug, which looks like a stink bug, but it's not quite the same. However, if you squish a squash bug, the squashed squash bug will certainly smell somewhat stinky. And these guys love to suck the sap out of pumpkin leaves and sometimes even pumpkins, so if left unchecked and they lay a lot of eggs, they can become a real problem. On the plus side, on day 45, we see a lot of pumpkin vines starting to touch the ground, especially from the trash cans. Look at the size of this leaf. It has no business being this big. Any bigger, it could be an umbrella. But yeah, I'm really happy with how things have turned out so far, and I'm sure nothing bad is going to happen, right? And these guys are even doing good. They're nice and green, nice and healthy, and they even have some flowers starting to come in. Pumpkin vines have two different kinds of flowers. There's male flowers, which have long stems, and there's this thing on the inside called a stamen, which is covered in pollen. Yo, look at that Bigo, he loving that pollen. And then there's female flowers. They have much shorter stems, they're a lot closer to the vine, and they have these bulbs underneath the flowers, which are essentially baby pumpkins. And on the inside of the female flower, there's this thing called a pistil. Now, when bees take pollen from a male flower's stamen and deliver it to a female flower's pistil, that pollinates the flower shrivels up, and the baby pumpkin starts to swell. And this might very well be our first pollinated baby pumpkin, but we'll know for sure in a few days, so we'll come back then. For now, I gotta do something about these eggs, so I'm gonna spray this organic pesticide called neem oil, which helps deter some of the bad bugs. And here we are on day 47, and our baby pumpkin has gotten a little bit bigger. The flower is starting to wilt, and he's about the size of a golf ball now, so I have a good feeling this pollination was successful. But wait, did you see that? Wait, can we rewind the footage for a second? Yeah, right there. Look, right in the top left corner. Right there. Ready? What? That's not a bee. It's yellow, but what is that? And why does he look like that? Is this a pumpkin patch pest? No, I think it's actually something different. For your consideration, ladies and gentlemen, the feather-legged fly. It's not a pumpkin patch pest, but instead the natural predator of the squash bug we were just talking about. It lays eggs on the squash bug, the eggs hatch, and they eat the squash bug. Isn't that wild? It feels weird to have a bug on our side for once, besides pollinators. So he's basically like our little bodyguard. And he even looks cool. Look at his wings. They're so cool. Did I get you? I'm sorry, I had to.
I mean, you didn't have to.
And check this out, guys. Remember that plant I transplanted and then it died instantly? Nope, budding leaves. It's alive after all. And it looked even better on day 50. Look at it go. Admit it, you thought it was dead. You thought it was curtains. Nope, I brought it back. It's alive. It's doing well. And these guys in the back row are even starting to look good. Nice and bushy. Well, at least most of them are. And ladies and gentlemen, for the first time ever, St. Francis of Assisi. The plants in these tires are slowing down and they're looking a little yellow. I'm kind of worried, but I'll keep an eye on them. Oh, we have another contender.
Well, these vines are creeping.
Surprise, here's our pumpkin. I swear they swell up like water balloons. I should also mention, moonshine pumpkins are white pumpkins. Big bug damage ain't no secret. No, but seriously, guys, look at all this. This is all damage from bugs chewing on the leaves. And I think this calls for a bug alert. That's right, nobody panic. It's just like we practiced. Today, we're talking about this little guy, the cucumber beetle. And while he may be cute, they love to snack on pumpkins and their leaves. The trouble comes with the fact that they could be carrying a pathogen called bacterial wilt, which can devastate a pumpkin patch. If a pumpkin vine gets bacterial wilt, it's curtains. It's a goner. It's cooked. So I should probably stop recording and get rid of this bug. But there is good news. On day 55, we finally had some of our miniature pumpkins popping out. Yep, remember I mentioned those earlier? This is a snowdrop. And then this guy over here is a regular-sized pumpkin, not a mini. This is a gladiator. We'll visit him later. We had even more miniatures show up on day 59. There's some more snowdrops, and here's the snowdrop we were looking at the other day. It's a white miniature pumpkin, and this is a little Ironsides. It starts out green, eventually it turns orange. There's quite a few of them on this plant here. For some reason, I have the urge to bite this one, but the intrusive thoughts aren't gonna win today. Hey guys, Finswerion from the future. The reason they call this little Ironsides is because it has a really tough shell, and I wanted to demonstrate that by hitting it with a baseball bat. Look, I never said I was good. Yeah, I mean, we lost the stem, but that's still pretty good. But yeah, we're getting a lot of miniatures now. Here's another little Ironsides. I think there's one on the top here. Yep, fuzzy little hat. And our transplant pumpkin is still chugging along. Look at him go. Hey, yo, pumpkin check. And these vines are really starting to crawl. Ain't that just the way? I mean, look at this guy. This guy's a beast, and he's not even at full size yet. This is like quarter the size. And just... Whoa, wait a minute. Our trash can pumpkin's not looking so good. It's discolored, it's cracking. It's not the only plant like this. Oh no, I was really hoping these guys weren't gonna show up. This is the third and final bug alert, and these guys are the worst yet. This is the squash vine borer moth. Now the moth doesn't actually do anything to the plant directly, but it does lay these eggs. And when the eggs hatch, the larvae bore directly into the plant, and they eat it from the inside. By the time the plant is yellowing and wilting, it's already too late, the damage is done. But sometimes you can spot the larva's excrement spilling out of the plant, and that's a dead giveaway that they're in there. Now, sometimes you can open the plant up and get them out, but it's really kind of a finicky... What do you do? That's your own poop. What are you doing? But I cut this plant open and found this guy, and I took him out, and bro is flabbergasted. He's never seen plastic before in his life. On day 74, it was time to harvest the moonshine pumpkin. There was a lot of vine borer damage at the top of the stem, and I did not want them in the pumpkin. I could do this with one hand, right? Yeah, I'm sure it's fine. Come on. Alright, now that I got that done, I could just take this and... And just like that, we have our first harvested pumpkin of the season. And we've got two more of these guys cooking on the other side of the yard, too. There's this guy, and there's this guy. And here's that other pumpkin from earlier. This is a Captain Jack. It's known for being kind of tall and skinny, which is fun. Oh, and remember that gladiator pumpkin from earlier? This is him now. Feel old yet? I even harvested some miniatures. Now we want to be very careful. These are very delicate and oh my god! I'm just goofing, you guys. That ain't gonna hurt it. But bad news on day 88. The pumpkin patch was dying, and it was dying fast. Our poor little transplant didn't even make it. He got eaten alive by vine borers. And if these plants weren't yellowing, they were dotted with powdery mildew, browning, or completely wilted because they were bugs. There were bugs everywhere, every square inch. Our Captain Jack pumpkin didn't even get to grow all the way because his vine was so damaged it wasn't giving him any more water, so we had to harvest him early. But amidst all the carnage, all the doom and gloom, there was hope. The Cronus pumpkins. They were a little late, but they were here nonetheless. Cronus pumpkins can be anywhere from 20 to 60 pounds. We even still had some gladiators hanging around, hiding in the tall grass. But Halloween was coming up fast, less than a month and a half away. Could we protect these vines long enough to still have a successful harvest in time for Halloween? It wouldn't be easy. On day 94, I kept finding vine borer moths. It felt like they were really out in full force. But the Cronus pumpkins were coming along well. They were sizing up fast. I literally see you. I see you trying to lay eggs on my plants. Go away. At this point, it was a race. Would the vine borers destroy my vine faster than my Cronus pumpkins could ripen? The good news is that these guys are absolutely massive. Look at the size of this guy. And on day 98, they only continued to get bigger. I had a feeling we were gonna win this race. But then I thought I noticed something, but it was a little dark, so I turned on my flashlight and yeah, my pumpkin's oozing. Before I could really think about it, I plucked it off, not realizing that it was probably scabbing an injury. Something was definitely wrong with this pumpkin because on day 100, it continued to ooze. But luckily on day 102, my other Cronus pumpkins were starting to turn orange. There were even some other baby Cronus pumpkins starting to appear, but they wouldn't make it to Halloween in time, so it didn't really matter. This one here's the big one. This is the prize winner. Now on day 103, I noticed that my oozing pumpkin was no longer oozing, but it now had this split in the bottom, and when I pushed on the bottom, it was awfully soft to the touch. And watching this clip back, I suddenly now see there was some kind of insect camping out in the bottom, which reminded me of last season when I had a vine borer in the bottom of my pumpkin. Very gross. But no one was really gonna see the bottom of the pumpkin anyway. No one was gonna know that it was split, so I didn't really mind, as long as it doesn't completely melt and I have to haul it around in a trash bag. Hey guys, quick update. The pumpkin completely melted. I have it here in this trash bag. Okay, so we lost one. But on day 112, I harvested my second Cronus pumpkin. And by harvested, I mean I was rolling it over to look for bugs underneath, and it snapped right off the vine. But that counts, right? So here he is. So I gave him a nice spray, washed him down, and he's nice and clean and ready for Halloween. Our third Cronus pumpkin wasn't quite ready yet. I gave him the thumbnail test. Basically, a ripe pumpkin's rind should be able to resist a thumbnail being pressed into it, so if it indents like that, it's not quite ready yet. The rest of the pumpkin patch was pretty much dead, as expected. The trash cans were all withered up. There was one white pumpkin coming out of one of the trash cans, but it was soft and there was vine borer damage directly in its stem, so safe to assume he's a goner. And though the patch was dead, the bugs persisted. Here on the right, you can see the baby squash bug, and on the left, that's like the second stage of the squash bug. Pretty cool to see them side by side. But they must have been slacking because on day 144, my Cronus pumpkin's vine died back naturally, not from bug damage, and it was time to harvest him. Gonna quickly check under here for any bug damage, and there's a beetle under here. Yeah, he's not looking too great. The moment was finally here. I'll be honest, I didn't think he was gonna make it between my one pumpkin melting and the other pumpkins getting swarmed by bugs. But here he is, a big, normal, healthy pumpkin. I went to harvest one of my gladiator pumpkins and there was so much vine borer damage, it wasn't even connected to the vine to begin with. So I guess that works. I'm gonna trim this stem down just in case there's anything in there. But here they are, the final harvested pumpkins, 2 weeks before Halloween. And of course, the rest of the roster. I couldn't fit the Cronus pumpkins because they're too big, but from biggest to smallest, we have the Gladiators, the Moonshines, the Snowdrops, and the Little Ironsides. Even Captain Jack made it to the party. He just can't stand up on his own. Also, another Moonshine pumpkin with a hole in it. Oh, and remember that row in the back with the tomato cages? Out of all of those, I only got one tiny little Munchkin pumpkin. Literally, they're called Munchkin pumpkins. They're really, really little, but I only got one out of all of those buckets. Okay, so maybe we didn't get dozens upon dozens. I really wasn't expecting the bugs to be that bad. That was ridiculous. And yes, okay, I'll admit it. I bit off more than I could chew. Normally, I can sit down with my plants and say, this one needs that one needs this. But I grew so many this year, it was overwhelming. There was too many to check on. And because of the sheer number, I just couldn't sit down and get to know my plants. Ultimately, that's what went wrong, but we still had a good harvest. We just didn't have a 200-something seed kind of harvest. But we still did get that giant Cronus pumpkin, and I know baby Finswerion would have loved that. Besides, there's always next year.
Next year? Oh no, I'm not doing that again.